This is me drawing my final character after spending 1 week obsessing over learning everything I can about human anatomy. To this day, this is by far the most progress I have ever made in my art, and in such a short amount of time. I had no belief in practicing anatomy before this challenge. I saw it to be useless, it's not teaching me any of the important things like the proportions, especially as you won't see most of the muscles until covered in skin, or ever need to be able to recite their names. So I didn't learn it. But what a huge mistake that was. I'm gonna be learning arms, backs, legs, chest, abs, calves, necks, and even feet. I don't know, just everything, because I'm about to become a doctor with a PhD in human anatomy or something with my knowledge after this challenge. Alright, so first up we need to test my baseline. I went with no reference and just testing how much anatomy knowledge I have in my brain right now. And yeah, it's clearly not very much. Okay, I gave up on the hands, but still, I guess this is what happens when you only draw faces. All I can say is that I've got a lot of work to do. I start by heading onto Google and searching up some arm anatomy references, looking to just copy what's there. So I start out, and straight away the difference it makes in just the first 5 from looking at the anatomy of it is insane. I mean, I could literally just call the challenge here and be done with it. It's already so much better. I'm drawing some of the arms twice so that I can't just mindlessly copy what I see without understanding it, as the second time I draw it is from memory, so I need to remember what I just learnt. Now I go on to draw a few more different poses and angles for the arm and shoulder, looking at different references, and after 1 hour 40 minutes I call it there for day 1. Second day is starting out really strong. It begins with the same drill as yesterday, getting up the references off Google and just trying to draw and remember what I see. After a while I evolve my reference game to Pinterest, where I find these really handy anatomy guides. Most of these characters are looking super buff like they're from a comic book, but I don't even mind as long as they look good. Now at this point I don't know any of the names of the muscles I'm drawing, so I'm just copying it from reference and memorizing the positions. But later in the challenge I start to memorize some of the names by seeing them quite a few times, like in the anatomy guides or videos. I tried to do one guy with a different method, but it just didn't really work out, so I go back to how I was doing it before and just put him small in the corner. And I start to combine the arms that I was practicing from day 1 with the torso from just now to create a full upper body, and yes, it looks good. I went with some more fancy poses like the arm behind the back and the body slightly twisted, and this just looks so much better already compared to day 1. Now I grinded out a few more poses like this, just finding random images of buff guys on the internet and drawing them with their anatomy. I struggled a bit with getting the arms of this guy right, but I could just flip back to a guy when I was stuck. At this point I was just breezing through drawing after drawing, feeling super focused. And because I have no patience, I didn't want to stop drawing. I just decided, screw it, let's just learn the legs today instead of waiting for tomorrow. It messed up my plans, but whatever. And just like everything else so far, I nail it straight away. I mean, I had no clue how the anatomy of the legs worked before this. Just like that, in a few minutes, I'm drawing them so comfortably from memory. I felt I was getting a pretty good understanding of the basic muscles at this point, although I still didn't fully get the legs. I finished up having done 3 hours 20 minutes for today, still leaving some more understanding I want to get tomorrow. Now so far my progress has been crazy. Imagine I did this for an hour every day and kept improving at this rate. How much would I improve? Well, my theory for why I'm improving so fast is that I've never studied anatomy before, and I'm just implanting so much new knowledge into my brain, unlike when I'm just drawing where I am not really learning anything new, and so I'm just repeatedly trying to cash out the current knowledge in my brain. Here, I'm adding loads more new information, which is more uncomfortable, but clearly better for my improvement. Alright, starting off day 3 with a side profile of the leg. I'm not too confident on this kind of angle, so it's good to practice it. Now I found some strange places on the internet while doing this challenge, but if I'm being honest, this is actually helping so much to look at the anatomy in 3D, and understand it from different angles as well as being a good reference. I'm spending a good amount of time just staring at this guy trying to figure out what's happening with his muscles. This one here I went with a bit more detailed anatomy and it looks good. I feel I'm starting to understand and remember everything better now and in 3D. Although before I get too ahead of myself, I'm really struggling with the perspective of this guy and getting his leg to go back while still being anatomically correct. Eventually I just got it about good enough. I do a bit of practice of backs because it's good to know, although not much because I won't use it that often. This guy was in a tricky perspective where he has a huge shoulder and almost looks like a Roblox character for some reason. I tried to tack on some legs to him and it didn't look bad, but I just don't know how to connect it properly to his upper body. I do some neck practice for literally no reason apart from I found a good reference that I wanted to practice with and it happened to be for the neck. After doing one more full body drawing which turned out okay, I ended it there with another 1 hour 50 minutes today. Coming into day 4 with this guy, you can clearly see how much more confident I am in the upper body than the lower body, with how clean and simple the lines are. And I'm trying to find some anatomy books or something to help me. So here, based on what I saw earlier, I'm trying to draw the legs more confidently with less scratchy lines, looking at it from an anatomy book, and doing some different angles. The book was helping a bit but taking too long and not teaching me as I'd hoped, so I just decided to go back to the Pose Maniacs guy as that works really well. These ones are looking pretty good, but I decided to go more in depth on the things that I wasn't too sure about. I started with the knee and just focused on getting everything in the right place and connecting correctly. I ended it there for today after just doing a couple quick full bodies with 1 hour 40 minutes, but the intention to continue with the knee tomorrow. So that's exactly what I do. I just focus on getting the knee looking good from lots of different angles, and after a few more tries and recalling it from memory, I felt I was starting to see some progress with understanding the form and connections. I then tried to apply it to a full leg to see if it helped, and I think it definitely made a positive impact. After doing a few random things, I get a couple full bodies done, which are looking decent. You can see the practice is helping, but I just need to do more. It's getting close if I really will be able to learn everything I need to with just a couple days left. This one with him reaching up was completely from imagination, and I'm happy with how it turned out. You can see the better knowledge of anatomy from the earlier practice. Then I decided that I need to do a little bit of hand practice and probably some feet as well. But the anatomy is just so strange, so I tried to start with some boxes, but it just looks bad. The other few were looking a bit better, but I figured I might as well try to understand the anatomy. When I did this, they still weren't looking great, but they're good enough so that if I spent a bit more time, I could probably make it look reasonable. I do a little bit of feet practice as well, and then finish it with an hour and a half today. I started out with a few more feet, but decided that they won't make that big of a difference anyway, so I should just focus on the more important things like the arms, legs, and upper body. So I did some more full body and torso practice that was generally looking pretty nice, with a few turned out really good. Then I went on to a few more specific things, trying to make sure that everything was clear in my mind for where the muscle was and how it connects to the other muscles. Now this guy I didn't get great, although it was a really hard pose and perspective, so I'm not too sad. Here you can see with the slightly easier pose it looks much better. I'm doing a bit of practice on the arms, and even one where it's the back of the arm looks good for not doing much practice on that angle. I did one face with the anatomy put over it just for fun. It looks kind of creepy but also really cool. Now some of those body parts from imagination and some are from reference. I'm still using Pose Maniacs as it's really good. I got the perspective super nice on this guy kneeling down, an overall drawing that turned out surprisingly well for how difficult it was. I thought I messed it up about halfway through, but it still turned out really nice. Now this guy bent over in another hard pose is also looking really good. I do quite a few more body parts and poses, just getting in all the final practice of different angles and perspectives, so I'm feeling confident as I end it there for day 6 with 3.5 hours today. Here it is, day 7. Today I'm doing my final after test to see how much I've improved. I'm going to be doing this one completely from imagination to make it fair so that it's the same as the original. And straight away I was struggling to get the arm to lift up correctly and be the right size with the correct muscle showing. I get it good enough for now to work on the rest, but need to come back to it later. After getting a good first sketch with all the muscles in the right position, I fix up the proportions and anything that needs to be a bit better, then go over it again with some cleaner lines on another layer, really showing the muscles. I tried to add some hands but decided that this is not what I've been practicing and I can leave that for another day. So I removed the hands and I could finish it there, but I decided to add some flat colours like you see in the anatomy guide. I've been looking at all this time as if I'm making my own. So here it is. My progress after spending 1 week learning everything I can about human anatomy. I'm mind blown with the results of this challenge to see that I've improved so much in just 1 week with a little over 15 hours of practice, with that last one probably being my favourite.